I get the you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 to the 21, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying. Sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and high, yeah. It's not a lot of. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that.
Here we go, back again. Welcome to Loaded Mag NFC. We are back to talk some Toon tonight. Back again, week 2. But first of all, boys, that's Chris. How are you on this fine Tuesday evening? Not Wednesday. Organized Wednesday. What a decision that was. Valentine's Day. What am I doing? But how are you doing on this fine Tuesday?
I'm flipping great because it's Pancake Day, Pete. Flipping great. So all good with me. And I'm glad I tugged out in Newcastle gear. Chris, you're going to feel the odd man out now in a few minutes.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know. I need to start putting my Newcastle gear on, don't I? I always just throw a hoodie on or my tracky top or something. But yeah, I'll have to start donning the colours, won't I? But yeah, no, been really looking forward to the show tonight. I thought last week's one, our kick-off of Talk of the Toon, was absolutely fantastic. So really excited to speak to the lads tonight who we've got on. But yeah, on a personal note, I'm absolutely fine. Bit hectic today, as usual, in the life of Chris Hall. But other than that, I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you, Pete? Are you all right?
All good. Yeah, it's busy as always, you know what it is. But half term next week, so get a week off. Cannot wait. Get this week out of the way. Get 3 points on Saturday, and then we go again for the week off. But look, first of all, great to have everyone in the chat. Thank you all putting your comments. Some questions already coming in the chat. Great to have you, and I'm sure you will welcome our fantastic guests tonight. So let's get them in. First of all, let's get Rob Rubenstein in for his Loaded Mag debut. 3
debuts tonight. This is a loaded first. So welcome, Rob.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
You all right, lads? How's it going?
All good.
Very good. Very good. Great to have you on, fella. Looking forward
for having me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, and we're looking forward to hearing your opinions tonight on all things Newcastle. And another debutant, Mr. Geordie Josh.
The last time I saw Josh, he was speaking Italian to Sanders Nally. So I hope he's brought his Italian Facebook with him tonight. Welcome, Josh.
Hello, lads. How we're doing?
Very good.
Thank you for having me on. I've been watching a few of the videos, and I'm excited to see what's going. Answer a few questions. I'm excited, lads.
Top man.
Good man.
Good stuff as well. And of course, making his debut, the third debutant from Geordie Dread TV. We've got Specs in the house. Welcome, Specs.
Geordie Dreads. Welcome.
Yo, big up to everyone on the panel. I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm your London embracing Geordie Dread. I'm not an original Geordie, but as you can tell and hear. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. Should be a good show.
Definitely, man. That's for sure. And look, everyone's streaming in at the moment. If you haven't click the like, and of course, subscribe to the channel. It's a pleasure to have you all. Thanks for watching. Chris on the button as always, never misses a beat. Love it. Absolutely love it.
I just love that button. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. But let's kick it off. Let's get going. Let's ask the panel some questions and get their opinions on all things Newcastle United. And Daz, I think we'll start with one that you dropped in I think it's a good one to start with. A nice, easy one for you boys to get under the table, just to get yourself settled and nice and comfortable. Or is it?
Believe you.
Actually, just a reminder as well. We are going to get to a question that we have a poll running on as well. So make sure you get your answers in the poll. But this isn't the one linked to the poll. This is one I dreamt up today. What position should Newcastle strengthen first in the summer? And this bonus point here, it's not a quiz, but it's a bonus point for suggesting a signing we should make if you have the name of someone. So who's my first victim? Rob, we'll go with you, Rob.
Come on, then. I'll start off by saying that I have to say I'm not the greatest with names, especially from foreign leagues and countries. So for a player to suggest might be tough. But you know what it is? I think that position seems to change every other week, to be honest, because one day we'll look like we're doing all right. You look at midfield, that was a position that we're desperate to strengthen. All of a sudden, 17-year-old Lewis Miley comes in, absolutely sweeps up, and we're going, oh, actually, you know what? I think we're looking okay then. Then we'll have the issues with defence, and then you're thinking, should we bring a defensive player in to try and fit that mould? And then I've no doubt Josh will be happy to know Tonali's coming back soon. So I think there is some strength. I'd have to go down with striker. I feel like it's quite a popular answer from Newcastle fans at the moment, but like topical news, Wilson's getting another injury again. What muscle hasn't he injured in his body this season? It's just getting a bit silly now. So yeah, I think it would have to be striker, and I would even look down the route to say that Wilson's a great number 9. He can score goals having not touched the ball for 90 minutes. He'll still find a way to put it in the net. And I know Isak's kind of that more. He's getting kind of compared to Thierry Henry, and he would be a bit out on the left. I would like to see us, and Arsenal, they're doing all right without a striker. I'd like us to go and find another. Not, I don't want to sound disrespectful to Wilson, but a number 9 who can start every game and can be that out-and-out goal scorer. If Isak can become that, great, but I'm just as happy for him to be the guy who comes in and plays off the left. Thierry Henry had his Bergkamp. I think we need to get a number 9 who can. Imagine we talk about players not being able to play every game. Imagine Shearer missing a game at all, even if it was 4 games a week, he would play. So yeah, for me, it's striker, it's number 9, it's goal scorer. Give me a list of players and I'll pick one for you.
Love it. Who we go to next then?
I'll go next if you want.
Go on, go for it.
Go next, Josh.
Right, I probably would have said everything what Rob said so far. I mean, genuinely, the main talk, apart from maybe a striker, which I will get onto in a second, was a 6, a centre defensive midfielder. I have people my age who play FIFA, but you just watch the recent games we've played. We've coped. Although the defense hasn't been that good, we've coped, and I think that's just what people have sort of been attracted to, that we can kind of do without one, and maybe we do need a younger, more reliable cover striker than Callum Wilson, who albeit is a fantastic goal scorer. He's been a great servant, although the many games that he has missed, he's been a very good finisher for very definitely knows where the back of the net is. But so I don't like being harsh on him, but he is so inconsistent with his playing time. He's very unreliable. On the other hand, Alexander Isak, he is younger. Fingers crossed he can get more physical with years to come and overcome these injuries. But he's the cream of the crop, Alexander Isak. I mean, already he's probably one of the best strikers in Europe. I mean, he's absolutely unbelievable in every aspect. You look at he's over 6 foot odd. You think he'd be one of them strikers you just send the ball up to, and it's like Chris Wood. He's just like a plank of wood. You're headed into the back of the net, but he's the complete opposite. But if I had to pick one, I probably would go with a striker as well, yet again, for many reasons why I've just said. We need someone who, although he's not going to exactly be challenging Isak for that number 9 spot, we do need cover there because, yet again, 2 pretty unreliable strikers when it comes to it. And maybe a younger centre-back as well. We've got pretty aging centre-backs in. Dan Burn can play there, Paul Dummer can play there, Shaw's aging. Jamal Lascelles' age, and of course there's been talk of him going to Besiktas. So for me, either a younger cover striker or a younger cover centre back. But if I had to pick one, it would be a striker.
Interesting. Cool. Specs, what are you thinking? Are you with Josh and Rob, or are you thinking somewhere different on the pitch?
Nah, it's pretty obvious. Like I'm with both of the lads there. For me, at one point, well, I still think we need a proper number 6. Like I really do. Like, and I want to keep on seeing Bruno push up a bit more forward consistently. But I think when we get all the midfields back, the Andersons, etc., the Joe Lintons, and all that, I think that'll be just about okay for now. In terms of we need to concentrate on the strikers, because you can say Wilson's injury prone. But to be honest, he's that kind of injury prone as well. Like, he might not be out for that long of a distance as like Wilson, but he's like, I'll keep both of them, but I would like to get a striker, maybe not even as good as them, but someone that can just keep fit more often and can do the rotation thing. You get what I'm saying? So for me, over everything, has to be a striker. If I had to pick one, if I had one choice, it'd be the strikers.
I'm interested to see what you boys have said, because we haven't asked this question to each other, I don't think, is that who would be the priority. So look, Daz, Chris, whoever wants to go first, who would you go for? Are you with the boys on the panel that you would go and look, we need to get a striker, we need to move one of them on or bring someone else in? Or are you thinking another position is a priority? Because the reason I say this, boys, is because I think going into January, I don't think striker was the priority for us. I think it was somewhere elsewhere. No. So it seems to have changed along the way. But what, Daz, come on, what are you thinking, fella?
Yeah, no, but the priority of this, even I think it was coming probably the December time, we're saying aligning that the priority was a goalkeeper, and we were all in on Mamashvili from Valencia. But things changed then, and as Rob mentioned, it does kind of change by the week, and it's really been highlighted now. We do need a striker, that a second option that's fit when we need them, and maybe a striker that then Chris has said in the past as well, that could play kind of maybe out wide as well, and give us an alternative that they could play 2 positions on the pitch, let's say, or across the front. So. I'm going to go for someone that we've talked about over a year ago, and then more recently in say November time as well, and Benjamin Sesko, who hasn't been getting a game, and he's young. I think he wouldn't mind playing in different positions, but also getting some game time when he's giving Isak a break, coming on in late in games and getting a run in the team that way. And especially if he got into Europe as well, he'll get plenty of game time then. So and before the other little point to add onto this, before I was always moving Wilson down to third striker, but now I'm not even sure. Maybe we should be looking for 2 strikers, but that's a bit pie in the sky. So I'll just go for one, Benjamin Sesko. I won't even mention KK. I won't even go there.
Oh, God. We're not going to get KK talk until the summer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Chris, everyone seems to be aligned. Striker. Are you going to go somewhere different, or are you sticking with the boys? You going with the striker as the priority?
Do you know what? I want to come to the table with something a bit different. I mean, when you first asked the question, my initial thought was a central midfielder, as Josh said, like a number 6. I think we've been crying out for one, and anyone who can release Bruno further up the pitch is good. But I'm kind of going to cheat a little bit, and I think I'm going to say a hybrid right winger, because I do think we need to upgrade the right wing position. And I think if we have someone who is capable of playing right wing predominantly, but who can also play as a striker, I think that would help. I think it would help the squad going forward. We've seen that we've got Alexander Isak, who's predominantly a striker, but he can play left wing. We've got Anthony Gordon, who is a left winger who can all.
The classic Chris. It's happened again. A classic Chris. I love it. It'll come on really, really quickly.
While we're waiting for Chris to come back, we must mention this man who is dying to come back to Newcastle. ASM, he's in the chat again. Bonjour, loaded mags. So he's dying to come back. But you're not on anyone's list, ASM, at the moment. But I think people would have to go to you with your thoughts as we wait for Chris to reboot.
I'm gonna stick to what I was gonna go for originally, and I was gonna say a right winger. I'm adamant that I think we need to trade up in that area. We've seen, and it's quite fitting actually, Daz, that you put Alan St-Maximin on the screen, because it's very clear that we've upgraded when Alan St-Maximin left the club and Anthony Gordon coming in, and what he's done this season has been absolutely fantastic. And so what I want is to see us do this exactly the same on the right hand side. And for me, there's a couple. If we're looking at sort of a couple of sort of Premier League based players, there's two that stand out for me that I would take in a heartbeat. One of them is Pedro Neto at Wolves. I think he's absolutely fantastic. And I think he'd be perfect in our team. I think he'd thrive in our team. And the second, albeit is fairly injury prone, is Michael Elise at Crystal Palace. I think he is a superb player that would get a shed load of assists for Alexander Isak. If you're asking me for Europe, for a right winger, I struggle to get past someone like Rafinha. I think he's been wasted at Barcelona, which is really weird to say that he's been wasted at Barcelona of all clubs. But actually, I don't think they use him very well. I don't think they even really want him. And I actually think him coming to Newcastle United, I think he'd thrive with us. So they're just kind of three players that I've kind of thrown out there for me on that right hand side. But no, I get what you boys are saying. With regards to a striker, it is definitely an area that Eddie Howe is going to have to make some big decisions on this summer. No doubt.
But would you actually go for? I know Elise he's top, by the way. Really, he's top boy. But would you really want to go down that route? Because trust me, I don't see his injuries ever getting any better. As young as he is, would you really want to go down that route of getting these injury guys? If you have already been down that route already, do you think it's worth it?
It's an interesting one. It is, because I think you made a great point with regards to the consistent injuries that he's been getting. Are they going to get any better with his hamstrings? Hamstrings don't get better; they tend to get worse as you get older. So it's a really, really good point. But a new environment sometimes gets the best out of a player. Just taking them out of the environment that they're in, where they're doing the same training methods with the same staff all the time, and being brought into something different tends to improve players. So you're right. I think it would affect certainly the fee that you would pay. But going to you boys, Rob, Josh, Mikel Elise or Michael Elise, should I say, Pedro Neto, are they sort of players that you would want at Newcastle United?
Do you want to go first, Rob? Or
go on then? Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, you just named some good players there. I mean, who wouldn't say? I think the great thing that we've got at Newcastle right now, and I think this is why Eddie Howe, we had it was the summer now. It feels like 2 seconds ago. Back in the summer when we had Eddie Howe's list, and it was all these players that were on his list, and if they weren't on his list, then we weren't going to go for them. And it kind of, I think it was even the last January where we ended up getting Gordon on like the last day, and there was kind of, we were linked with so many players, and there was all these kind of reports coming out that we've been linked with them and they're interested in joining, but Eddie Howe doesn't want them. And it's almost this kind of thing where Eddie Howe's trying to be so careful over who he brings in. But I think the benefits of doing that in to say, a Neto or an Elise, I think really because Eddie Howe's been so careful with the group, like you look how Isak is shining now. You see the behind the scenes videos of him blooming flipping pancakes or whatever they were doing today. It's great. And I saw something, I think it was like, what Manchester United player would you want at Newcastle United? And everyone was saying, like, a lot of the comments were like, none. This was a couple of months ago, especially when they were playing pretty badly. I know they've got a little bit better now. But generally speaking, it was, they're always crowding the referee. They're always crying about free kicks. They're always I think if you take an individual out of that and drop them into what Eddie Howe has at Newcastle United right now, I think most players will excel with that. So, yeah, I think if Eddie Howe really brought either one of them, I think you could definitely get a tune. And we know that he is careful about bringing players in too soon or injury. So, yeah, look, I'll have either. But that's the question, isn't it? Are they going to pass the Eddie Howe test? We'll have to wait. I think it's going to be a great summer. I think we will definitely have a lot of fun with, hopefully a few players coming in. So I look forward to it.
You call it the Eddie Howe test, Rob. I think there's another name for it, the dickhead test. Yes, that's the official name.
But thought I'd leave that to you guys. I'll leave that to Dread.
We're not going to hold back on it, Rob. Don't worry about that. But Josh, are you with sort of Rob in his assessment on who would take? Is there anyone out there for you, aside from the names that we've mentioned, that you would definitely take, like either a striker, right winger? Who would you look at?
Do you know what? Off the top of my head, I don't think Pedro Neto and Michael Olise are definitely two players I've mentioned before, because of course they are pretty young. We've seen that they can not exactly master the Premier League, but they can, of course, get a goal, get an assist, play pretty well in the team system in the Premier League. They know the physicality of the league, of course. When you're coming abroad, the Premier League is just, in my opinion, superior in so many aspects. You need to master it physically. And these young lads coming from abroad all the time don't really have that with Michael Olise and Pedro Neto. They're doing pretty well. But off the top of my head, I can't think of any new names. I know that the name Benjamin Sesko was mentioned before. What is he? He's Serbian?
He's Slovakia, I think.
Slovak. Is he the RB Leipzig one?
Yes, that's it.
I'm pretty sure I've seen him, but before that, I think he played for another Red Bull team, and I watched a fair few of his games there. And I forgot what competition I watched him in, but he looks like a very, very good goal scorer. So, of course, right now, yet again mentioned another cover striker, a youthful one like Benjamin Sesko could be a very good shout, but I can't say him too much because I've only watched 2-3 games of him on the telly. But there's a one which is a very, very, what's the word? It's a bit ambitious right now. Of course, we are still going to get a bit of financial fair play freedom coming into the next season with all the sort of sponsorship money, the Champions League money will kick in. And it's definitely, people would take him, but it's just the price of actually paying for him. It is Kvichak Kvaratskhelia, but is that the sort of player that Eddie Howe wants to get right now? He likes these sort of non-high profile players, of course, without the exception of like Tonali and Isak. He wants to sort of build this properly. He is a very, very talented player. He scores a fair few on the wing. He's a left winger, but he can play right wing as well. Of course, the Georgian from Napoli, I believe he's under 23 years old, so it's another youthful player, but he's dribbling.
I've heard of him.
Josh, you've just made Daz's night, because for the last year and a half, that's who Daz has wanted.
Yeah.
You've made it.
I say his picture is still in the system somewhere if I switch things up here. But
there.
make sure you subscribe to Josh's channel. After that comment alone, make sure you subscribe to Josh. Forget the rest, lads. Subscribe to Josh.
I've actually got his top.
Subscribe to all the lads. Oh, do you?
I love it.
Yeah, I do.
No, it's going to be an interesting one. I think from our point of view, look, we're going to spend some money in the summer, right? Oh, there he is. There he is. I knew I had him. He knew he had him available. Are we the mindset that Newcastle United are going to spend some serious money in the summer, or is anyone on the panel thinking anything differently?
I don't think so, man. Unless the CEO Eels is bluffing to try and bamboozle the oppositions. I'm kind of going by what he's saying, because it's like they're trying to get it out of the way now to put it in our Newcastle United fans' head that we may not spend, or if they do spend, maybe one or even two, I say one of our so-called big boys might be out the door. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, don't be surprised. Like, I'll put Bruno in there, I'll put Isak in there. It might sound crazy, but the way they're talking, like, and when they put the question to Eddie Howe, Eddie Howe is very good at how he answers questions, and sometimes to be a bit politicianish. He's smart with it. He said, well, Earl says maybe the big players, but he says, as far as he's concerned, it doesn't have to necessarily be the so-called big boys. But I just feel like we'd have to sacrifice to get some players in. That's my opinion of it now, unless they're bluffing. Because the same thing when we bought Isak, that came out of bloody nowhere. And I've been an Isak fan from way before he came to Newcastle, and he's doing even better than I thought he would do. That came out of nowhere. Oh, we can't really spend 63 mil. Do you get what I'm saying? So I don't know. If you're going to believe what he says, I don't think it's just going to be like happy days. Just go spend, buy 5 players, and I don't personally think it's going to be like that. So I'm just keeping myself humble and not getting too excited.
Interesting.
Staying grounded.
Yeah. I didn't expect that. Rob, are you similar to Specs? You think Newcastle might be a little bit more reserved in the summer spending money, or you think they're going to splash it?
I think, well, going back to what we said earlier, where this constant change of what's happening and what we're going to do next will definitely apply come the summer window, because we saw it in January where it was all about the number 6 kind of out the back end of January. It's now Isak and Wilson are injured and we need a striker, and I think it'll be very similar going into the summer window. You know, we'll have Tonali for the start of next season. If Barnes is fully fit, if Joe Linton's back, you know, all of a sudden what we actually want could change. But I think it will be quite Newcastle were unprepared in January for me. I think they wanted to go out and spend, and what they hoped to do to try and allow transfers to happen didn't pull through. I think they kind of left it late on a kind of maybe Almiron will go, and when Almiron didn't want to and it didn't happen, we kind of got, you know, left behind. I think Newcastle should really be going into this January window with the mindset of how are we going to do this and how are we going to make it happen. You know, when Maxi left, you know, that opened up the door for 4 players to come through within 2 weeks because of the way the money works. And as Josh rightly said, with the sponsorship coming in for Adidas and the new shirt sponsor, that will certainly open a door. But so that's the thing. I'm kind of a bit of both with what Specs said, because I do agree with what he said, which is I think we will have to obviously still, that won't be enough to provide a summer war chest. It will still come down to letting a few names leave. Who that'll be, we'll have to wait and find out. But I think that we discussed it last summer. You know, like Dummer got a new deal, Richard got a new deal. And look, don't get me wrong, I don't think we're going to start the summer. And I think, you know, there's links to Kraft getting a new 1-year deal. I think it will not be the summer starts and all of those players have left and we're going to totally replace them. I don't think that'll happen. But I think there will be 2 or 3. And I think Newcastle will work to make sure that we bring some proper strength into this side, because I think we've shown this season that we lack the depth. And for owners who want to win everything, you know, that it wasn't good enough in their point of view. So I think we will hopefully, I'm really hoping we do go big this summer.
Yeah. Josh, we'll come to you. Are you expecting a big summer? I'm going to put it out there. I'm expecting a big summer. I think we're going to spend some big money. I'm just going to put it out there right now. But Josh and then Chris, we're going to double back to you, because obviously we've got you back in now. But Josh, is it going to be a big summer for Newcastle United? And I'm going to be even more particular with yourself. Put a number on how much you think we're going to spend. So I'm asking you even more so now, and be very specific with that question.
Right. So do I think we're going to spend big in the summer? Obviously, that sort of determines how much we've got to spend, and just us being sort of fans will never exactly know the ins and outs of how much we've got to spend, how long we can put him on a 5-year contract, or any sort of financial fair play stuff. So it's pretty confusing in itself without even knowing the ins and outs of the sort of stuff like that. But honestly, I don't know, because of course we've still got, I know it's harsh, but the sort of deadwood players like Matt Ritchie, Mark Gillespie. And instead of, when we think of going big, like for example, we were just speaking about Kvichak Kvaratskhelia, he's going to cost somewhere like £80 million or something like that. I know he is from the Serie A, or them sort of teams are pretty in, they need the money, they're always in debt and sort of stuff like that, them Italian teams. But I don't think we will go out and with Sandro Tonali and Alexander Isak and get a statement one. If we're being picky across the whole team, we may need a younger goalkeeper. Of course, that's not exactly a priority. We've still got Nick Pope, Martin Dubravka there. But if we're being picky, we may need a younger goalkeeper. We probably do need a younger centre-back. We definitely need a striker, as we've said. A right winger, maybe, because, of course, we've just got Miggy and Murphy who can particularly play there. We have got Jan Komamenta coming back on loan, though. Is he going to crack it in his first season? Yeah, is he going to be on the bench? We don't know. But another thing that actually comes into conclusion with all that is, are we going to buy Lewis Hall for that 30 million price tag next season? Is that going to sort of differ with things that we're going to do? But I'm hoping we can go big. Do I think we will? No. Like I just said, I don't think we're going to buy two players that are massive. I think we're going to strengthen up all around, or maybe get that one person, like Rob said, for example, sell St. Maximin for £20 million. And personally, when that was done, I thought, right, we can just go and get someone like a or two players who are pretty mediocre, bang, 4 pretty decent players come through the door. So I hope we can go big. And if on exact price tag, I don't think we can actually raise up much funds. I mean, maybe if we sell Callum Wilson, I don't think we'll get a massive price tag there. He's turning 32 years old. Of course, people are going to be wary of his sort of injury record. The players that we could get out, Miggy, Wilson, maybe, the Deadwood, although it's pretty harsh. Players, I'm going to go bold with all the sponsorship money. Fingers crossed we can spend over 150 mil. I don't know.
Okay. Interesting. Chris, I want to get your thoughts on this. I want you to double back, though, to you said you wanted, you think the priority, or you think an area we're going to go for as priority is the right winger. Any particular players you would highlight for that? We've mentioned a few, you might not have heard it. But the second question for you is that 150 that Josh has just mentioned, do you think that's a sufficient amount for a summer window for us to go on and attack potentially the Champions League again? So I'm asking you a double question here.
Yeah, so going back to what I was talking about with the hybrid right wing. Apologies, by the way, for everyone, because for some reason my internet's playing up tonight. But yeah, for me, I couldn't really disagree with what Daz said. I think Benjamin Sesko, and that's kind of who I've got in mind. Someone who predominantly plays through the middle but can also play on the wing. I suppose if I was being greedy and we were talking about possibly needing a central midfielder, another player who springs to mind is Morgan Gibbs-White, who obviously can play in that central midfield role either as an 8 or a 10, or can also play right wing. So again, it's finding players who can play multiple positions, and I know that Eddie Howe's a big fan of that. So for me, that would be certainly what I'd be looking to do. In terms of going on to what Josh was saying about the 150 million, I think that's probably about right, and maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but I would say that 150 million is probably with minimal outgoings. I think if we were to sell a bigger player, I don't want to say who, because everyone will jump on me for it, but if a bigger player was to go, so say a player for 30 million upwards, I think we could see that 150 million surpassed. I think it could be bigger than that. But as we've mentioned, the Adidas money, obviously we'll get the Champions League money as well. Hopefully we'll finish reasonably high up the table. I think we could easily spend the 150 million even without significant player sales. I mean, we've already spoken, well, briefly, I think you have anyway. I think you've touched on it. We've got a lot of players going out of contract this summer. And whilst I don't expect the vast majority of them to physically leave, even if 3, 4, 5 of them leave, it's going to be a massive saving on wages. We know some of these players are on like ridiculous wages, and even the likes of Ryan Fraser. I've got one eye on Southampton now, and I'm thinking, like, come on, Southampton, get promoted, because Pete, you've already highlighted it. Your friend was saying, that Southampton are flying, and particularly Ryan Fraser. So, if we were to get decent money for him and remove his wages off the wage bill, if by some freak we could, get Isaac Hayden off the wage bill and again save on the wages, Jeff Hendricks going on a free, Matt Ritchie will be going on a free. I mean, I could list the players off, but I think there's significant room for improvement. But I do take what Josh said, about the fact that I don't think we're going to see any like major stellar signings. I think one at a push. I think maybe, like a Sandro Tonali type or an Alexander Isak type, where you're talking upwards of 50 million. but I wouldn't be expecting 3 or 4 of those. I think it would just be one, and then trying to improve, my favourite word, the underbelly of the squad. So that's why I think the likes of Philip Billings being mentioned. That's why I think Lloyd Kelly's being mentioned, because those players coming in are going to improve the players who are on the fringes at the moment. I mean, let's be honest, lads, if we had the likes of Lloyd Kelly and Philip Billing on the bench, it's not bad going, is it? And if you're going deep into cup competitions, or hopefully we're in Europe, having those kind of players who can come in, do a job for you, but then you can rest your stellar players, your jewels in the crown, and you can go, do you know what, boys, you can have a rest this week. We're going to play these lads, get some minutes in them, but still be able to put up a decent performance against decent opposition. That's what I think Newcastle are at the moment, and we are very much moving into phase 2. And I think phase 2 is about trying to improve, the 25-man squad as a whole, rather than just looking at 1 or 2 positions and going, we need 60, 70 million pound players in these 2 positions.
We do love a segue on Loaded Mag NUFC because, Chris mentioning a couple of players there actually brings us quite nicely to the next question. And I think we only covered one question already.
You added another question or 2 on top of that, Pete.
I did. We haven't even got through even half of what we wanted to, but we'll work for it now. And Chris is segueing.
3.5 hours, Rob, don't we? Okay.
All the time in the world, lads. That's it.
Love it. The question I've got for you, based on what Chris has said, and he made a great point, is that we have been linked with a few players, even though the transfer window's only just closed. And the question I've got for you, are Philip Billing and Lloyd Kelly good signings for the Newcastle United squad this summer? So obviously Craig Hope, I think it was Craig Hope, or someone in the Daily Mail put it out, and Craig Hope's promoted it, saying that they're 2 players from Bournemouth that we're looking to sign. Interestingly, we've got Bournemouth this weekend at St. James's Park, but are they 2 players that you would welcome into the Newcastle United squad? So Specs, I'll come to you first. Are they 2 players that you would welcome into the squad? Are they what you'd be looking for to bolster this squad in the summer?
It doesn't really get me too excited, to be honest with you. You get what I'm saying? And I think sometimes we get too comfortable with just knowing plays, or obviously the Premier League experience, so I understand that. And as a first squad, maybe, but I just think we need to, especially our scouting system, man, we need to just try and also look elsewhere. You get me? I'm not saying to follow the whole Brighton mold. We can only be ourselves. Dan Ashworth was a big part of that start of that mold. But I think we need to we can try and look abroad, really do our scouting work. You know what I mean? Not just the obvious. So for me, as part of a squad, it's not a bad shout. Kelly as well, decent. But it doesn't really it doesn't really do enough for me. Really, it doesn't excite me. You get what I'm saying? We've been, come on, bro. Even back to you. Do you think do you not think we should, our scouting system should try and think out the box a bit and look elsewhere or abroad, or do you think because to me that's just that narrative is too easy. Billing, Lloyd, it's come on, man. Let's try and be a bit more. A bit more different. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't excite me at all.
Are you saying, Specs, that there's somewhere other than Bournemouth that we should look at for players?
Look, man, the only player that would actually, that I think would be slightly risky, but I think it'll be interesting, because he stays quite fit as well. I know he's had people say, oh, Specs only a 1 season, but I wouldn't put it past it to have a look at Solanke. Maybe. Do you get what I'm saying? As part of that, but that's away from the question you're asking me. But that's the only person I'd really kind of look at. Oh, what's the other guy's name? I can't pronounce his name. The black guy, the winger.
Sinistera.
Yeah, I think he's decent. I think he's decent too. But those 2, but those 2 that you're putting towards, I'm not really. Doesn't excite me, bro. To be honest.
Josh, what are your thoughts? Lloyd Kelly, his contract runs out in the summer, so he'll be coming on a free. You've also got Philip Billing there, who was rumoured to be the next guy in if Miguel Almiron left the club in January. Would they be players that you would welcome into the squad? Would you be happy with those as summer signings?
Well, I think the key word there, Pete, is squad, not exactly team, if you know what I mean. I've seen some people say, how on earth are we going to let Joe Linton go and not give him a new contract, or we're going to sign Philip Billing as a replacement? Personally, I've actually really liked Philip Billing for a long time. Is he Newcastle United starting and aspiring for Champions League quality? Look, Eddie Howe can work wonders, but straight off the bat, no, he's not. He's a pretty decent player for Bournemouth. He always pops up with the odd goal. I think he did it at the Emirates in like the first 11 seconds or something like that. I think he's only got 2 goals this season though, but he's been a pretty decent player for Bournemouth and Huddersfield when he was there as well. But I've seen 15 to 20 million pounds chucked up. And of course, if he did come, he wouldn't touch the starting 11. I mean, look at centre mid, even though the majority of them are out now. We're talking Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, Joe Willock, Ellie Anderson, Sean Longstaff, Lewis Miley. That's 7 players there who arguably right now, although Sean Longstaff isn't on the best of form, I probably wouldn't stress over starting any of them over Philip Billing right now. So I don't see the point of signing them when we've got 7 arguably better midfielders there right now. But Lloyd Kelly on a free transfer, is he going to overtake Fabian Schär and Sven Botman right now? Definitely not. Although he is versatile, which for a squad player, 25 years old, English. I mean, he's English and Bournemouth, of course. Eddie Howe wants him. So if you can play left back, centre back on a free, on about 30 to 35 grand now, I think I've seen that chucked up somewhere. Of course, that will come not just because he's on a free, but because he's coming to Newcastle United as well. That will go up. But I'd definitely welcome him in. And of course, he's not going to be a starting 11 player. Both players wouldn't be. And if I had to pick one, it definitely would be Lloyd Kelly. Philip Billing, I don't get too excited about him, although he's not going to be anywhere near that starting 11. Lloyd Kelly, if he had to drop in for when Sven Botman's maybe got a knee injury or something like that, of course, it would be a downgrade from Sven Botman, but not bad cover whatsoever than the likes of Fabian Schär going back to left centre back and then Jamal Lascelles coming. Although he was very, very good, it's just a nice bit of extra cover, isn't it?
Definitely. Rob, I'm going to come to you with this one because obviously talking about the 2 same players, Josh has mentioned that Lloyd Kelly does predominantly play as a left centre back, but actually more recently he's actually been playing as a left back for Bournemouth. Yeah. Is that versatility something that you would take at Newcastle United? And with his youthfulness, left-sided centre back, can play left back, would he be the natural successor to someone like Dan Burn? If we're not going to go out and get a first choice left back in the summer, would you take that?
I mean, Eddie Howe definitely likes his versatility, doesn't he? I know we started this podcast where I spoke about the idea of if Wilson left, I would want to bring a number 9 in, but I don't know that Eddie Howe would necessarily go that route. He's got Isak who can play left. He's got Gordon who can play anywhere across the front 3. He's got Livramento who can play right back, right wing, right midfield. He's got Lewis Hall, who I haven't seen much of, but supposedly is left back, centre mid, everywhere. So yeah, I think versatility is definitely something Eddie Howe will look at. I think the biggest challenge for Newcastle this window, and I think that's where versatility will come in, is that because we're all talking about FFP and spending money, and that was the thing with Almiron when Eddie Howe said he was very pleased that he didn't go. And for me, Almiron wasn't at the top of my list to let go of. Really, I think what I would like, I was going to say what I would like is for Barnes to play, Barnes to score all the goals, Barnes to be really great. Oh, hang on, he needs a rest. We'll play Almiron now. Or we'll play in a side where we need a lot more energy. We'll play Almiron now. I'm not thinking, let's get rid of Almiron and then suddenly Barnes is injured and we've got nowhere to go. So I think what both of the lads have said there about squad depth and what we're going to do is going to play a huge part. If we could sell Lascelles for 10 million this summer and then bring Lloyd Kelly in who can play left back, centre back and cost us nothing, then straight away we'll replace the squad depth and we've equaled 10 times 5 over the 5 years, 50 million to spend in the summer. And it's the same with Billing. If Bournemouth turn around and they want 30 million for him, then it's a non-start. And that's why I think we've kept hold of Dummets, Richies and everyone else, because you can't buy squad players for 5-10 million anymore. Everybody wants 30, 40 million. And that's where it's going to be the tough one. I think we can go out and we can spend 50, 60 on a top-class number one who's going to help the squad. But to do that, you have to sell. And if you're going to sell, you need to bring in those guys who will do some of the bench warming. And when, you haven't got players, if Lloyd Kelly's on a free, I mean, that's the exactly kind of player you want to try and snap up because it'll really be beneficial. But yeah, I like it. As I say, Bournemouth are doing all right. I think Eddie Howe can always improve players. And I think he's somewhat good to look at. If Billing is actually going to be available at some of the fees discussed of 10 mil, I think that sounds pretty decent. As I say again, sell a player who can bring in with a reasonable go and sell a player and bring two in, bring in a starter and bring in a backup every time. But the problem is Bournemouth will get to the summer and they'll go, actually, no, he's worth 30 now. And then straight away it's all going wrong. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do. But for those two, yeah, you know what? I think as Specs said at the very start, I'm not singing and dancing around the room, but if they did come in to help with the depth, I'll take it.
And don't forget that Newcastle tax, man. Don't forget that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said I'm not sure if Ills is just bluffing to try and bamboozle the opposition. I don't know, but I'll just go by his word, innit? It's a tricky one, but I'm sure we'll work it out.
No, I think you are right. It's like Eddie Howe when they say, Eddie Howe, have you got anyone bringing anybody in? Eddie Howe could have 3 players stood in the other room waiting to sign and he'll still say no. So I think we've got to do it, but I'm with you. I'm hoping that Darren Eales is playing a very clever game and there's actually a little bit more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. That's for sure. Boys, I'm going to come to you with a different one, loaded lads. We're going to come to a different question and then we're going to go back to a question that I'm really interested to see what the other lads say. Question for you boys, loaded lads. How long realistically until Newcastle United are fighting regularly for a top 4 stroke title tilt? So how long do you think between now and when we're there and we're fighting alongside the Liverpools and the Arsenals and the Man Cities of the world? Is it going to be a quick turnaround? Is this summer going to turn us around, or is it going to be a little bit longer than that? Give us a time frame, boys. Chris, I'll start with you.
The reason I'm smiling, Peter, is because based on what I think we're going to do this summer, I think it could start next season. I still maintain, if you look where we are in the league and you look at some of the, the hard congested fixture list, which we weren't used to. Obviously, we had Champions League football, and we just so happened to get the hardest group known to man. And then not to mention the numerous injuries that we've had. To still kind of be in and amongst a European discussion kind of says everything for me. And not only that, we've spoken about the teams slightly ahead of us. So the likes of Man United, the likes of Brighton, West Ham, I know they're not currently ahead of us right now, all of those. But the fact that we're in that chat with them and we're still kind of learning on the job, so to speak, you add into that a fully fit Joe Linton next season, a Sandro Tonali who's back in the Newcastle 11, not to mention the players who have been on the journey that we've been on this season, the experience they'll have gained from it. Hopefully, hopefully we'll go far in the FA Cup, and, these players will be more seasoned and it'll be even more time under Eddie Howe. So I actually think with 3 or 4 top additions and maybe, 2 or 3 useful additions, I'll call them, I think we could challenge top 4. Are we ready for a title shot next season? Probably not. I think that's me probably being a bit hopeful, if I was to say that. But certainly, I think we can mix it with the best of them next season, and I think we'll be aiming for top 4 if we go out and we get those 3 or 4 big signings, which I believe we will.
Top 4, Daz? Champions League next season, or do you think it might be a little bit longer in that progression? What are your thoughts?
So many factors. One of them being what's going to happen with FFP, PSR, and what kind of rules will everyone be working in? If the purse strings are released for us to go spend the money that we have, or to some degree more than we we obviously did in January, then who knows what will happen. And another factor throwing in that Eddie Howe looks outside the Premier League and outside of Bournemouth and mixes and matches Premier League proven and some European talent and young players and so on and so forth. I'd allow what Chris is saying. I think we could challenge top 4 next season. Also, I know that's the factor of we get into Europe, we might be able to attract higher caliber player. But even if we weren't in Europe, then we were just focused on the Premier League and domestic competition. It's we said how we'd love to win something. You throw in a cup along the way there as well. But I think next season, depending on what happens in the transfer window, we could have a chance. And linking back to the previous question, if we were to pick up the likes of Billing and Lloyd Kelly for something like 15 million, the question you asked us the last day was 15 million you're offering. That was the ask price. As players like that, squad players, and bring in your superstars on top of that, and bring Josh's man Sandro back into the mix as well. He'll be like a new signing, and also offloading Dummett, Richie, Mark Gillespie, and a few more, and giving a few of the young lads a chance as well. But so yeah, possible. Title challenge a couple of years after that.
Okay, but we're on the trajectory, and this is the thing: is that people see us when we're dropping as low as 9th, 10th in the league, but yeah, it might not be the season we want, but we are still building. And it, just like other teams did, like we did, we went from relegation to finishing 12th to then Champions League. It can be done. Just because we're not playing well this season doesn't mean that we can't be challenging in the top 4 again next season. Let's not forget, it could well be top 5 that gets Champions League football next season, as it could be this season as well. But for the panel, I've got a question for you. Obviously, fantastic win at the weekend, much needed win against Nottingham Forest. But there was still one question going on that a lot of people are still talking about. What is going wrong with Newcastle United's defence this season? Now, there was a picture that we put up on our review show of the goals before Nick Pope and after, but the defence clearly has gone from the best defence in the league, along with Man City, to one that's in the lower parts of the table. What is going wrong with Newcastle United's defence? So that's the question I've got for you. Look, Josh, I'm going to start with you in the middle. What's going on with the defence this season, mate?
Do you know what it is, right? I haven't actually touched up too much on the defence, but when you do look at it now, first of all, who's been fantastic in defence this season, and that's across the whole season as well. Fabian Schär, straight off the bat, he's been absolutely unbelievable. I don't. Has he been injured this season?
He's always injured.
Every match he goes down for a couple of seconds, but he's up again.
Yeah, but like you know what I mean, out for like a couple of games and stuff. But I think it's just like definitely absences. Of course, Nick Pope, who is probably one of the best goalkeepers in the league, has been out for a pretty long time now. We know he's apparently doing pretty well in his recovery, and he's trying to come back for the contention of Euro 2024. But you look at the going from the right-hand side, Kieran Trippier had a very poor run of form, of course, with the Chelsea Carabao Cup last minute, and a couple of games around that sort of time as well. So there was a weak spot there. And then Dan Burn had his little bad run of form when he was just coming back from his injury. Of course, the goal that knocked out of the Champions League, his positioning was a bit poor, but yet again, he rushed himself back from not really full fitness. He just come back from an injury in that game. That knocked out with the Champions League, conceded 2 goals in that match at home to AC Milan, which probably most people thought would have even got Europa League that game. But Sven Botman's been out for a long time, so I think absences is definitely a very big sort of part of it. Of course, Sven Botman, he's an unbelievable defender, so young as well. And Matthew Targett, although he's not going to be exactly the start name every single season, another absence in the defence. I think genuinely, like I've just said, absence is a very, very big aspect of it. But yet again, something which we did touch on before, no real protection of the back six. Of course, Bruno was dropping in and out of the pivot, the 6 there. But there's someone that we need to properly strengthen up and defend it. Like, I'm not saying go out and buy a Rodri, because of course, for me, Rodri is, maybe apart from Kevin De Bruyne, the best midfielder in the world. He protects Manchester City's backline so fantastically, and we probably can't get a player like that for a very long amount of time to come. I've seen some people say that Tonali can play as a 6. In my opinion, he can play as a 6. He played in a double pivot in AC Milan with Benacer, I believe it is, but he's much better as an 8 on the right side, like we did say at the start of the season against Aston Villa. We absolutely tore them apart, went in a bit of poor form. But I think it is just absences, of course, Nick Pope, Sven Botman, and no proper protection of the back 4 as well.
Rob, you're nodding your head there. Are you in full agreement with Josh, or have you got a different sort of opinion?
No, I think
situation?
I think Josh has done a great job to sum it up. To be honest, I think in a lot of situations you can probably point at different reasons and different games for why different things happened, but to try and bring it all together, I think it's been a big gold mismatch of everything. I think, when Dubravka came in, you saw it again, the other night with Dubravka coming out. He doesn't get to the ball. You either come for it or you don't, and don't get it in the middle, which is what Dubravka, I don't see Nick Pope doing that, but then that becomes a bigger conversation, because if you're the defenders and you're used to a goalie like Nick Pope rushing off the line every time, and then Dan Burns turns around and goes, well, I'm assuming Pope's on his way. Oh, hang on, Dubravka stood on his line miles away. I've just been burnt for pace and now he scored. So there's so many little things that you just get used to that when they aren't there, start to hurt you. No one could predict that Trippier was going to suddenly have 3 games in a row when he decided to give the ball away and the other team scored. Botman was out. Lascelles came in and by all means actually did a great job. I think the lack of... I know it's obviously no Joe Linton for the cover with Dan Burn, but I would go as far as to say without Joe Willock as well. I mean, the pair of them, yes, they used to have that great overlap and runs down the left, but the other one was always defending. And it's no offense to Miley, but I just don't think Dan Burn's getting that same level of cover they used to. So, yes, I basically said everything that Josh said, but again, there's a lot going on. Could change in a blink. If Pope comes back, we'll find a bit of confidence. We'll try and help Dan Burn a little bit differently. I think we can still kind of sort that out for the second half of this season. But, conceding, what is it? Lots of goals in the last few games. I think it's definitely something that we need to try and work. As fun as it is to see, 4-4s, 3-2s every week, I'd be much happier if we could try and keep that those goals in our net down a little bit.
Specs, you were kind of nodding away. You're in full agreement with the boys in what they've said.
There's bloody no point me talking now. They bloody both said it. What more they to bloody say? You took everything away from me, man.
Don't worry.
Sing a song.
No, it's all good. No, pretty much what they're both saying. You get what I'm saying? Like, especially Ruben Stein said it all, man. And the whole Willock thing and Joe Linton in there, I think that makes a big difference as well. Mixture with Botman being out, Trippier was on off form. I don't get too much into that. I think it's had enough flack as it is. You get what I'm saying? So it's a mixture of everything. It's a mixture of players being off form. But for me, most importantly, I think it's the midfield, the protection. I think it's more of that, more than just the actual defence itself. And obviously, Nick Pope, don't get it twisted. I do feel Dubravka has come in and done a pretty decent. I do, but you can see the big difference. And I put my hands up. When we first got Nick Pope, I wasn't really having it. I was like, keep Dubravka. What's the need to change? Yes, Nick Pope has 1 or 2 wild moments in him, but shot stopping, I don't care what anyone says, there's not a lot that's better than him. And there's a lot of saves that he has made. Trust me, big saves, more than 1 or 2 in a game that has stopped us from conceding. So it's a lot of mixture of things, and it just breaks up that dynamic and that naturalness that we had last season when we kept most of our players fit. Now it's all bits and pieces broken. And as Rubinstein was saying, Miley, young star, I'm grateful that we got him in. Trust me, we needed him. And I think he's very smart with the vision of his eye and all that, and passing balls and etc. But I just feel like Miley and Longstaff, they could put a bit more tackles in my opinion. But that's not all fault of theirs. Like, it is what it is. But I'm saying that's the difference. You had Joe Linton there, Bruno, and etc. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. Look, Loaded boys, I'm not going to come to you with that same question because I think the panel have answered that really
Copy
well.
and paste.
We're all in agreement with that. However, there's one more question I wanted to ask you boys before we come to quick questions to round up the show. And it's the question that's in the poll that we put out tonight, and I believe it's very, very close. And the question I have for you all, 50-50, wow.
50-50,
the big question I have for you guys tonight to end off the questions is this. If you could sell one player this summer out of Wilson or Miggy, who are you selling? Now, I'm going to paint a picture. Saudi are coming to town. They're offering £30 million for both. For either player. We'll take Wilson for 30 million. We'll take Miggy for 30 million. Who are you selling and why? So look, Loaded boys, I want your answers to this as well. So I'm going to come to you, but I'll whip through the panel quickly and then I'll come to you, Daz and Chris, straight after. So look, we'll go round. We'll start with Rob this time. We'll work across into the left. So what are you going for, fella?
I mean, that's the thing. I think if it was different amounts of money and kind of what can you get for who? I think right now, is Callum Wilson fit or not? I think I would probably sell Callum Wilson. I think it's tough to say it because honestly, I think when he's fit, he could be up there as one. I think he's definitely our best. I would go as far as say he's our best number 9 since Shearer. I know obviously we had some great times with Barr and Cisse and a few others, but I think Callum Wilson has definitely put himself up there. But and when he is playing, he's scoring. But for potentially 10 games a season, I think if we got offered 30 million, it's time to take it and say thank you very much. Whereas I think Miggy can still do another few years for us, whether it's on the bench, he can. Whereas Wilson, you just don't know. So I think I would take the safety bet and stick with Miggy a bit longer and say goodbye to Wilson.
Okay. Josh, we'll come to you. What are you going for?
Definitely in agreement with Rob. I mean, I literally said to my dad today, 100% the first player I would even get out of the door is Callum Wilson. Likewise, for the reasons that I did mention when we were on about who would make a priority signing, cover striker, because Callum Wilson, he's so inconsistent with his game time. I've seen something of a stat that he missed like 40% of games since he signed. He has played, I think it's 91 times for Newcastle United. He's the third top ever goal scorer behind Peter Beardsley and Alan Shearer, of course. I mean, there's no doubt about it that he's been a fantastic striker for her. He's been a great servant when he has played, but it's time to move on yet again. So inconsistent. He's turning 32 years old in February. Maybe could get a fee. I don't know though. But if we were going to get a fee, of course, Miggy, he's younger by a year. If he was going to go to Saudi, I think a team would rather pay more money for Miggy Almiron than Callum Wilson. But in my opinion, no doubt about it, it's Callum Wilson. And the reason for that is that Miggy, look, I mean, some people just put it straight to the point and say that he can't shoot to save his life, blah, 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 blah. I can agree that his finishing is very frustrating sometimes. But in the system that we're kind of working, it's all about pace, intensity. And Miggy Almiron is pretty good at that, although his finishing is a bit annoying sometimes. But he works in the system better than Wilson. And if we did let go of Wilson, of course, with all the, yet again, financial fair play freedom that we will be given, we can definitely get another striker, replace him as easily. Is there going to be another player next season who's going to absolutely match exactly what Miggy Almiron can do in this system? Look, we'll never know. It's definitely a gamble. But with Callum Wilson, if we get someone reliable, it's pretty set in stone for me. So I'd definitely get shot of Wilson rather than Miggy Almiron.
Interesting, very interesting. Little bit of breaking news popping out. It feels like transfer window all over again.
Who are we signing?
Nobody. Could be the other way around because Luke Edwards has just reported that Newcastle United fear that they are going to lose Dan Ashworth to Manchester United. That's the report or what he's putting out right now. So I want to get your thoughts on that afterwards, but let's stick with the topic that we're covering right now. And that is Specs. Wilson or Miggy? Are you with Josh and Rob, or are you going elsewhere?
Look, man, it's a no-brainer, innit? Let's just keep it real, innit? Like, really and truly, love Wilson. Like, trust me, he's tops when he's fit. But if you look at the bigger picture, if you're gonna get 30 mil, are you crazy? Sell him all day long. Not because anything against him. Love Wilson, but the guy, unfortunately, and I just said about his age as well, he just can't stay fit, man. And it's just like, for his age, take the money. Miggy, people can say all what they want. You get what I'm saying? Yes, he can be frustrating, but you know what? He's got energy. He's got intensity. You get what I'm saying? He can track back. I might sound crazy, but in time, he might one day just be an extra fringe option for left back or right back. Do you get what I'm saying? As a fringe option, because of his energy and the way he tracks back and he puts in the work. So it's a no-brainer. You're going to sell Wilson and use that money elsewhere. You get what I'm saying? And Amron can play on the other side of the wing as well, on the left-hand side, where personally I believe that's where he should be playing anyway, not the right-hand side. So yeah, Wilson all day long.
Lads, I'll come to you really quickly just before we head to a few questions to round up the show. Are we being harsh with regards to Wilson? And we know he has his injuries, but he's not played a lot of football. He already scored 7 goals this season, 8, I think, in all competitions. Can we afford to let someone that scores that naturally go easily in comparison to Miggy, where we could get a real top right winger to come in and replace him that could add those additional goals to the team? I'm going to throw that out there to you. What are you thinking, Daz? Right.
For me, both of them gone. I'm ruthless. That's the New Year's resolution. Ruthless. And a funny story, Football Manager story. That's the 2 players I tried to sell, and Miggy got really pissed off at me, and I had him in my office giving out. I said, "Turn to Macchio and go, what's he saying?" But anyway, Wilson decided, I'm happy to sit it out here at Newcastle and take the books. But yeah, no, seriously, I sell both, and I think I look at sale for both. I think Miggy might be trying to work things out. Either he goes back to Atlanta or somewhere in the States, or he goes to Saudi in the summer. He leaves some way. I think Wilson, the injuries now, it's becoming clear to everyone. It's just not working out. So yeah, sell both.
Chris, if you have to pick one, what are you going for?
Yeah, well, I was going to say I wouldn't mind picking Daz's option, but I know you only asked for one. So if it's just one, I'm surprised at my answers to this actually, because I think after listening to the lads, I think they put up a good fight, because initially when you first asked it, I thought, well, Miggy Armanon, because when I look at qualities of the 2 players, like Callum Wilson in front of goal when fit on the pitch is fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic. But the big problem is he's not on the pitch enough, is he? And I thought Specs made a great point, at the fact that Miggy Armanon, as frustrating as he can be, he gives you effort, he gives you everything, and that's what we want as Newcastle fans, isn't it? We want a player who's going to give everything and leave it all out on the pitch, and that's what Miggy does. And Miggy definitely has at least another 2 years in the top flight, because he's just like he's a bit superhuman, really, isn't he? Like, he just doesn't stop running, and yes, for the bits of quality that he does lack, he will give you that energy. And listen, if we've got a Miggy Armanon on the bench coming on, and you're just saying to him, listen, just track, just literally just chase everyone down, don't give anyone a minute, you start the press. It's a great example. So I think if you had to push me, I would say Miggy Armanon. I'd want to keep Miggy Armanon over Callum Wilson. So I think I would say goodbye to Callum Wilson, even though I do think on his day he's a fantastic striker. But if you're getting serious money for him, go and get a new number 9 who can sit behind Alexander Isak.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. That's for sure. With his age, I love Callum Wilson. I do. I love him. I think he's been so good for the club. Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat. It's just it'd be hard to see him go, but for the money, it'd be really difficult. I just want to whip through the group just on that breaking news that we could potentially lose Dan Ashworth to Manchester United. So Rob, I'll start with you, and we'll work round the houses with regards to that. What do you make of the news? Are we losing Dan Ashworth, in your opinion?
I would be surprised if we did, actually. I get it because, as much as Newcastle are working to be up there as, the number one, Manchester United are, definitely, a powerhouse, despite the fact they don't show it on the pitch too often, and league position might say otherwise. They are still, the big team around in the Premier League, and you could see why there might be some attraction for Dan Ashworth, but similar to, how we see it as fans, patience is a virtue and we'll get there in the end. And if Dan Ashworth would prefer to jump rather than sit, and, you would imagine he would have, a lot more, you don't know, actually, under the new ownership, maybe that would be it, that he would go and maybe get a big say over there. But you'd like to think that he's kind of got his feet under the table now and he's working hard here. I would be surprised for him to chuck it in and move so soon. But, look, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. Eddie Howe has made a bit of a point of, so far, and we spoke about it earlier, about, bringing in players and building them up to be, heroes in the side. We can go out and we can find new unknown people and build them up and make them into top staff and servants for the club. Yeah, I'd rather not lose him. I think he's got a good background at Brighton. I think we're still kind of seeing the start of it at Newcastle, but I'm not going to pin anybody down. If he doesn't want to be here, he can do one and we'll find someone else. But no, I think I'd be surprised if he did go, actually.
Josh, your thoughts on the breaking news?
Do you know what it is? I'm pretty sure all that sort of Dan Ashworth to Man United stuff was put to bed a while ago, but am I worried about him going? Nah, not really. I think he coming to Newcastle United from Brighton. Of course, we know he done a pretty decent job there. Of course, the youth that he recruited there was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, Caicedo for a very good price, and then they went and sold him to Chelsea for a record fee. It's been absolutely rubbish since yet, but he's come to Newcastle United, and he knows the sort of project that he has joined. He knows it's going to be absolutely massive in the footballing world. Like, that's genuinely not to be understated. He knows that in a decade, if he is still here, we are going to be competing as one of the top teams in world football. We'll undoubtedly be in the Champions League, of course, in that time. Maybe sort of going for the quarterfinals, semi-finals each year in that sort of time space. I think he knows that we are probably, although Man United have spent so much money, they can spend so much money, their revenue with sort of fan sales and stuff is fantastic. They've got a lot of freedom. I think that he knows Newcastle's project in years to come is going to be, I don't want to say a lot better than Man United's, because of course they've got all that history and sort of stuff behind them. But I think we are on right now a better track than Manchester United with the players that we've bought. They just go out and splash the cash, 80 million on Rasmus Højlund. Look, he's a very good player, but and was only 21 years old. But for example, selling Paul Pogba twice for free, buying him for an abnormal amount of money, that I don't think he wants to be a part of that. He might have more control over there because, of course, Eddie Howe wants to be the man in the sort of midst of everything. But I think he knows what he's doing here. He's settled here, and I'm not too worried about losing him.
Specs, what are your thoughts?
It frustrates me a tad because you come all out to make sure you come to Newcastle and part of the project, etc. So, but when you deep it and look at it properly, man, like remember, it's all just business, isn't it, man? It's all egos as well, and it's all personal, CV. Like, let's keep it real in it. Manchester United, as a brand, a status, a corporation, is huge. Let's keep it real. Much I don't want to boost them like that, it is what it is. Facts are facts. So the personal CV wise, probably hard for him to turn down. You get what I'm saying? To join that supposedly new regime that's going to be happening there in times to come. Me personally, I wouldn't change his position for any club. Newcastle, man. I'm with the best. You know what I'm saying? Real fans, you get me? So it is what it is. I don't think it's an ego thing as well. And like I said, he has no ties or no There's no loyalty to Newcastle United. What I do find interesting though is how did that conversation come about? What's in his contract? How is there compensation fee? Are the PIF that like are they that easy to say? Oh, you can just go, or is it going to be a bit of a So obviously, but I suppose PIF are like, if you don't want to be here, then F off in it. We're not gonna, hold you to ransom. But it's a tad disappointing because I actually believed he was going to be a major part of our whole project in terms of recruitment. You see, when the whole Tonali thing, he went over where he went, signed the contracts and all that. I feel like it was pretty hands-on. So it's a tad frustrating because I'm thinking, okay, if this is true, what's our next move? Who's the person to be put in place? We ain't got time to piss about because the summer's coming up. So that's a slight tad bit concerning for me. But it is what it is.
Not gonna lie, Daz, Chris, I'm pissed off if he moves. I am. I said it before. I said it again. Say it again. I'll be pissed off if he moves. But your opinions, boys, Chris. You put it in our chat as well. It flashed up on my phone, but you put it in our chat. What are your thoughts hearing that?
I'll be honest, mate. But first of all, I don't think he's going to go. I really don't. I wonder whether it's just another message that's been put out, via the journalists to kind of get. I think someone in the chat voted as well, to try and get a bit of commitment from Dan Ashworth, who's been quiet since these Man United rumours have started. But on the other hand, as well, I'm kind of. It sounds maybe it sounds like I'm being a big headed, but if he walks away, let him walk. Because for me, this is arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, project in world football. And I think if you want to go to Man United, go to Man United. Because I'm pretty sure if he does, there will be a nice little release clause. And I'll tell you what, if we get 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many, I'm guessing now. But if we get a nice little payoff from Man United and we can put that in our coffers, so be it. I mean, I want people here who are committed to the club and who want to be on the journey. So if he decides that the Man United project is more attractive, then so be it. I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep over Dan Ashworth. Don't get me wrong. I don't want him to leave, and I'm not saying, he's rubbish anyway. It's not like that. But, there are other people out there who can come in and do the job. And I want someone who's fully committed. And if he's already at the first sign of, any interest, already thinking about jumping ship, it's like, go on then. And then in 5 or 6 years' time, when you see where we are and where they are, you're going to look back and go, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have gone. Because I firmly believe that Newcastle United are going to be right up there. And it will either be with Man United or we will surpass Man United. But that's just my opinion and how I see it. But yeah, it's disappointing and I hope it's not true. But if it is, then I won't give him a backward glance.
You the same thought, Daz?
Yeah, look, because it's Man United. Well, first of all, I don't think he's going to leave like Chris, but because it's Man United, I wanted a year's gardening leave because I absolutely hate Man United. But yeah, then I'm going to jump to some of the comments in the chat. But it wouldn't do his, as Lisa says, it wouldn't do his reputation any good. Alan says either go or issue a statement that he's happy. Yeah, this pissing about for a while now on the topic.
Agreed.
And as well as ASM being in the chat, we've got Joe Linton in the chat. And I'm sure Dan Ashworth is trying to sort out Joe Linton's contract. So he's not fussed. He's happy to let him go. But the next man will sort out his contract, give him what he wants.
If he's not fussed, we're not fussed, Daz. If he's not fussed, Joe Linton's not fussed, we're not fussed. Eh? Love it.
Bring in a few more Brazilians, and we can't let Eddie Howe have his way and bring in half of Bournemouth. Let's move to the questions for the lads because we've kept them ahead of time. So first of all, just a quick shout out to Brunto in UFC. Cheers for the donation. Jordi Fabrizio on top. I'm not sure who that was. It was referred to, but cheers, Brunto. Question for Rob from David Cook. He says, question, Rob, do you have anything other than tune tops in your wardrobe?
Well, I'm actually in the process of moving house now, which I'm glad about because I can get a bigger wardrobe and I can get even more Newcastle tops into it. But, yeah, I've got a fair few, I have to say. I am in the middle of doing my tune top challenge right now, where I'm wearing a different Newcastle top every day. And we're on day 44 right now. So
you done this one yet, Rob?
I have, yeah. Done that one. But it's a very nice top, Josh.
Oh, I love it, mate. I really do like this one.
Wearing it well. Yeah, well, I've even cut the series down because if I went into training tops and different Newcastle, it would have lasted for years. But no, seriously, I'm on day 44. The plan is to go to 50. As I have to say that even I am starting to run a little bit short. But it's been good fun though, and all those videos are on the channel if you want to go and check them out.
Check that out and subscribe to Rob
Thank you
well
very
while
much.
you're there. So linking in nicely, Josh, and your the away kit you were there. That was the home version of that. Was my first Newcastle kit, the black and white stripes. But Brunto says that's a lovely shirt. Lush, he calls it. So that's a comment for you. And Specs, we have a comment for you as well. And it's why the name Specs? Where does that come from? Or is it linked to the glasses? Where did the nickname come from?
Yeah, well, I'm from North London, Tottenham, innit? Born and bred. That's where I'm from. So in our area, in our community, like that's the kind of thing that we do, especially from a Jamaican background. Everyone's got a nickname. Like I don't choose it. That's what they call me. So rather be called Specs than Four Ride or whatever. So that's why they just call me Specs, and that's it. So yeah, it's Specs, man. That's it. No big reason. Just these, which I need. That's all.
I'll join you. I'll be Specs as well. Right. Question for the panel. So this will be the last one because we've got it in twice really. Tom Dixon asks, with us currently in 7th position, which position do you see us getting at the end of the season? And Lisa asks, question for the panel, what would you class as a successful season? So basically, where do you think we're going to finish, lads? Rob, we'll go to you first.
I hope you're going to pick somebody else first that time. That's why I stayed quiet. I thought I'll wait for someone else.
I saw you
the exact same.
Just turn the camera off for a bit. Yeah, I mean, you could one degree, you could look at it and say we've already had a successful season to a degree. No one expected us to do so well in the Champions League. We've had nights, back at St. James's that we've not had for many years. And, if someone had offered you 5 years ago, you don't get relegated, but you play Champions League football, people would have probably taken that at a time. So I would say that we've already done very well. However, I think if we could get some form of European football, that would see me out as a success. I think because of what's happened with all of the, people are talking. I can see FA Cup in the chat as well. I mean, yeah, I would say European football or FA Cup final. Not even necessarily winning the cup, but to get back to Wembley to me would be a cherry on the cake for what has been a great season with Champions League anyway. But yeah, to build with Europe, I think is the key for us this season.
Cool. Josh, we go to you next.
Ooh, from now, right? I think first of all, looking back on this season, fans in like 10, 20 years' time, of course, we know how the season's gone now with the majority of the injuries and the games we've played have been hit with Europe for the first time since 2012. I think ultimately looking back on the season as a whole, when it ends, it's going to be what could have been if Tonali didn't get banned, if all them players didn't get injured, if we didn't get robbed in Paris, if we didn't concede the last minute in Milan, if Kieran Trippier didn't give it away the last minute in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. It's all what could have been. So we need to take that into perspective with all the injuries and sort of stuff. I know it's annoying going on about it the majority of the time, but it's a very big sort of reason why we haven't exactly been maybe as successful as we would have thought, but we've done it extremely well in my opinion. But a successful season from right now, I would love a semi-final in the cup. Final, look, it depends who we get. A semi-final in the cup, of course, we know that gets at Wembley. I would absolutely love one of them trips as well, even though we lost last season. I really enjoyed going down to London and just sort of experiencing it all for the first time. And if we got to a semi-final, I would love to get, yet again, like Rob said, European football, whether that's Conference League, and that's something what's going to sort of going into next season as well, if we do the miracle and get Champions League this season, that's also going to play a part next season when we do play the best of the best Champions League football, where we need to prioritise that as well as the Premier League and the Carabao Cup. Whereas, with all due respect to the competition, we get Conference League. We're seeing Aston Villa in the group stages absolutely cruise through that, so we can play a weakened side. We can prioritise the Premier League. So any European football at all, even including the Conference League and the semi-final, I'd be absolutely chuffed with, and I think most fans probably would as well.
Specs, how about for you?
Look, man, with a good FA Cup run or not, if I could end the season now and finish in 7th, I think that'd be a successful season in terms of what we've been going through, the ups and downs and the emotions. It's been wild, bro. Like, there's been so many great moments, so many frustrating moments, sad moments. But for me, just the way the season's panning out, I'll take 7th place. European Conference. I think that'll be cool, because in some senses, some may argue this is where we're kind of supposed to be, because we kind of overachieved last season or went a bit too far than we thought we would. So let's be honest, lads, before the season started, no one thought we were going to finish 4th. Like, let's keep it real. Nearly finished 3rd. You know what I'm saying? So I think, technically, for me, 7th place, that'll be not so bad. 7th place, you're qualifying for a competition, and then we can move on from there and keep growing. So for me, that'll be successful. Any less than 7th, I'll be pissed, to be honest with you, or disappointed, because it's like, meh. But 7th, I'll be cool with that, man. Beautiful.
Cheers, Specs. I'm hearing 17th and staying up. You're happy with that? We're all happy with that. But last question, and I'm going to just for Pete. Just this one is especially for you, Pete. And from Life Goals, it says, if Ashford leaves, does that mean surely Emmy will be promoted to director of football?
Nah.
Fuck that shit.
Right. That's it.
Shirley's lucky enough to be the loan manager, let alone director.
Loan arranger.
Not happening. But no, look, as you boys have said with regards to Dan Ashworth's situation, I'd be pissed off if he leaves, because he said he was signing for the long-term project. To leave a year and a half, 2 years into his project, for me, I think that's a cop-out. A cop-out to go to Man United. The project for me at Newcastle United is bigger, is better. Where we're looking to go in the money, in the finances that we've got to back that, is, for me, a greater success for his career, not just for the club, with regards to rebuilding Man United. But that's just my opinion. But look, we'll end it there, just because we've gone on longer than we intended to. But I have to say, I have absolutely loved this show tonight. You guys, Rob, Josh, Specs, you guys have been absolutely superb. The comments, the opinions, the bouncing offers, the loaded boys, has been absolutely spot on. So absolute pleasure to have you on, and hopefully we'll get you on again very, very soon. But just starting from Rob, working across, where can we find you, Rob? Where do you do your work on Newcastle United, mate?
No, thanks for having us, gents. It has been good fun. It's YouTube channel Rubenstein. Go check it out. It's on the screen for you, nice and easy. As I say, I'm running my Toon Top challenge at the minute, different Newcastle top every day, but it is all Newcastle content generally, vlogs, reactions, all the good stuff. So yeah, go check it out on YouTube. Thank you.
And just all the channels are in the description of the show, and hyperlinked at the top as well. So just click and you're in, and hit subscribe. Josh, where can we find you?
I don't want to overcomplicate everything and say on Instagram I'm Geordie_Josh. On this app _ just search up Geordie Josh and you'll find us anywhere, lads. But that's on literally everything. I mean, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. Just search up Geordie Josh and you will find us. But I thank you very much, lads. Honestly, really, really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it more than I thought I ever would. I really enjoyed all the discussions and stuff like that. Of course, Specs and Rob. Yous two know your football as well. Really enjoyed speaking with yous two as well, lads.
Man, yeah.
But I thank you very much. I'll definitely be on soon as well if I get the chance to.
Lovely stuff.
Nice one. So you can find Josh everywhere apart from the Yellow Pages. Josh probably doesn't even remember the Yellow Pages.
Hey, if you don't check out Josh's TikTok. Josh's TikTok is outstanding. We're loaded her on TikTok as well, so we get to see a lot of the content that he puts out. So it's great stuff. So make sure you get onto that as well, as long as the others ones. But Specs, where can we find you, fella?
Yeah, bro, man, pretty much was there on the screen, man. Just Geordie Dread TV. You get what I'm saying? Like, obviously, I'm kind of new to this, like being thrown in there, and obviously, don't get it twisted. Deep down, when I see all you guys on there, trust me, I'm a bit in awe, but I try to hold it in, like, get me, come like inside. You can really see how I feel. I look so silly, but I just keep it humble. You get me? But trust me, I appreciate you guys. I've seen you lot from a long time, and then now I'm here, so I'm humbled, and I appreciate Geordie Dread TV. I do my live watch-alongs. People who know I've been clipped on other fan reactions because when things go wrong, it's not nice. Like I'm a bit wild in it, but yeah, Geordie Dread TV. I do live watch-alongs, all football radio as well, and just reactions on games. So yeah, man, go check me out, all platforms. Geordie Dread TV.
Get subscribing to this guy. He's new to the game, but get him subscribed to and watch his content. As the same with Josh and Rob as well. This is what we do. We're a community. We want to bring people together. And like Rob, you're absolutely smashing it at the moment. 40,000 plus subscribers. You are honestly, you are kind of like the role model for us because that's where we all want to be at that point. And you are doing some great content. Josh, you are smashing it yourself. You're flying through it and getting some great content. And Geordie Dread, like we want to build you. As well as build ourselves, we want to build you guys because it's about bringing people together. And this is why we do shows like this. We want to bring people together and talk all things Newcastle United because let's face it, we all love our wild and crazy club all the same. So, yeah, brilliant stuff. But, yeah, Daz, come on, take us home, fella. Take us home.
Thanks again to the lads for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Away day's coming up soon as well. Keep an eye out for that. Take care, everyone. Good night. Drink it like me, then tell me you like that.